For the latest episode of Accused, we're introduced to a teacher named Jack Fletcher who is dealing with an accusation of him not only having an inappropriate relationship with one of his students, but also helping her get an abortion, which, with the episode set in Texas, is a notably huge thing. So to start off, let's talk about the main players. The main players of this episode are Jack Fletcher, who is an English teacher who's also the drama club's advisor. There's Brittany Toms, who is not only Jack's fiance, but also a fellow teacher. And then there's Clara, who is a seamstress who accused Jack of rape, statutory rape that is, as well as having an inappropriate relationship. And then there's Richie, who is the head jock who is involved in the initial problem that Clara's dealing with. So, with the names done, let's go into what the actual episode story is. Jack Fletcher is a beloved teacher. The kids call him Fletch. Brittany loves him dearly because he's so sweet. And when it comes to Clara and Richie has a close relationship with him because, he allows him to be this autistic guy and not just this jock. And Clara's cool with him because he's really invested in her, really getting to the craft of being a seamstress and costume design and stuff like that. Now, Brittany has told Jack many times, you need to have a line, you need to have boundaries with these kids because with the way the culture is around here, with it being a rural school district and not liberal like Jack seems to be, he can get himself in trouble. Jack does not listen. So that is why things start to happen to him. For example, he forgets his bag and he goes back into the auditorium and he catches Clara about to hang herself. He asks questions. He doesn't refer her to counsel or anything like that because she seems to be a suicide risk. And with that, he learns that she is pregnant. She says that Richie's the one who got her pregnant. And pretty much because of the way the culture is in that area, she has absolutely no desire to live in disgrace as a single parent, never mind be around school and be a pregnant girl. With that in mind, Jack decides he's not only going to take her across state lines, but pay $750 for her to get an abortion. Now, lucky for Clara, the abortion is the one where you just have to take pills, they don't have to do the suction or nothing like that. But at the same time, he committed a crime. And he committed this type of crime in Texas, so you already know. But lucky for him, Clara was thankful, kept everything between them. And while Brittany did discover one of Clara's trinkets or whatever in the car, he was able to, and he being Jack, able to play it off. Now, the problems start to really arise when Richie comes to Jack for some advice because his girlfriend's talking about sex and Richie is a virgin and not really sure how to proceed. At first, Jack is confused because he's thinking that Clara and you already had sex. Why are you coming to me and talking to me like this? But then it starts to click in Jack's head that Richie's telling the truth and Clara's lying. So Jack decides to ask him follow-up questions, and this leads him to realize that, your stepfather has been having inappropriate relations with you. And just like when it came to the whole pregnancy thing, Clara wants no parts of this information getting out. So in order to stop Jack from calling the police and really getting others involved, she accuses him of statutory rape. And with that, Jack's life starts to fall into disarray because, one, Brittany, she was kept in the dark, so she's unsure of what is the truth. And on top of that, she's very religious, so him getting somebody an abortion messes with her. And on top of that, for personal reasons, because the conversation about her being aborted was brought up, she has a very strong personal connection to not being pro-abortion. So that messes with the relationship to the point where it's pretty much over between them. Now, while it is over between them romantically, there's still something there. And thankfully for Jack there is, because as Clara's put on the stand to talk about how things happen, she mentions that one of the first encounters between them, there was on the radio talk about baseball and all that. And Jack, he's not a sports dude. And Brittany knows this because her brothers are very much into sports, and Jack was never able to connect with them about sports. So, contacting his lawyer, next to him, of course, because this happens in the courtroom, he texts Brittany and lets her know, like, you know this isn't me because when have I ever been interested in sports? And with that in mind, she realizes that this is a cover-up, so she goes to Clara's parents, and she focuses first on the mother. The mother is a little bit bewildered by this whole idea, and while those two are going back and forth, Clara's stepdad is pressuring her, guilting her, trying to make sure she sticks to the script. But after a certain point, Clara's mom, she refuses to just try to be in denial and confronts the dad, and then eventually all charges are dropped against Jack. Unfortunately, though, even with all the charges dropped, he still helped Clara get an abortion, so he loses his teacher's license. And because of all of Brittany's feelings regarding abortion, there doesn't seem to be a chance of romantic reconciliation between Jack and his former fiancée. But again, at the very least, Jack has his freedom. He may not have his job, but he can not be a sexual predator, or rather labeled a sexual predator. And the episode ends with Clara apologizing. When it comes to reviewing this episode, I have to admit some of the criticism is kind of more so what I feel about the season up to this point, in the fact that right now everybody who has stared to be accused has been innocent of the charge. Now, yes, when it comes to Kendall, he got a guilty verdict because of the two testimonies of the brothers, but otherwise everybody has been innocent. So with that in mind, it kind of makes it so, yes, the journey and the messaging that each episode of Accused has is definitely good, but with it starting to feel a bit formulaic and predictable, it's not necessarily good enough anymore. And as much as I appreciate the messaging in regards to each episode, whether it's about abortion access and also the rights of even minors to get an abortion, or whether it's past episodes which dealt with the indigenous communities, the deaf community, or else the trans and non-binary community, it's starting to feel like a lot of this is good enough and not necessarily good. And the luster of having these different perspectives and different topics is starting to slowly wear off to the point where this show just needs a shake-up in some kind of way.